I've felt for a long time that the 1960s were really vitally important so far as the SNP was concerned and the whole nationalist movement. I think it began about 1962 when a by-election took place in West Lothian and Billy Wolfe of the SNP came pretty close to beating Tam Dalyell, the aristocratic Labour candidate. But it was in a place very industrial, coal mining, very Labour-orientated, so it was a breakthrough from the SNP's point of view. That continued in the two general elections in the 1960s and 64 and in 1966. And then, of course, the big thing happened in 1967 when Winnie Ewing actually won the seat in Hamilton. Now, that changed the whole atmosphere in Scotland. It changed it in Argyll too, very much. We had a very good national organiser appointed about the same time. His name was Iain MacCormick. He came round the whole country, but Argyll, of course, as well. And we had a terrific success in Argyll in founding new branches. And we soon had nearly 3,000 members in Argyll alone. Now, that was exceptional, even in those days. Of course, we didn't have the advantage of social media. We didn't have an internet or anything of that kind. So we produced our own newspaper, a proper newspaper, monthly, registered at the post office so that we could get D notices like everyone else if we broke the rules a bit. It was a great success. We sent it abroad quite a lot, this newspaper. They called the Highland Nationalist. What fun it really was, you know. About that time, in fact, at that time, I had the honour to be proposed and adopted as a candidate for the SNP in Argyll. That happened in 1967 as well. So from that point of view, we were working towards the next election, which was vitally important. We were right round the whole county. In those days, as I said, there was no social media. How did we do it? We did it by holding meetings in all the little villages and islands in the county. And in point of fact, they were usually packed. That's the difference between politics then and politics today. When I first became involved in politics in Argyll, I think it's true to say that a lot of people assumed that the lairds knew how people voted. So that from that point of view, something that was such a breakaway thing as the Nationalists were different, and slightly to begin with, anyway, regarded with some suspicion. I think we overcame that suspicion because, fortunately, we were all very sensible people. We were basically, I have to say, middle-class, educated people whom one couldn't really hold up as being revolutionaries or something of that sort. From the point of view of the people in Argyll, many of the issues at that stage are very similar to the issues today. Some of them were worse, of course. Those were the days when the fishing industry, as we knew it, was coming to an end in Argyll, particularly in areas like Loch Fyne and the Firth of Clyde. But I don't recall there being great poverty in Argyll, except in one area, and that one area was in housing. It became apparent in those days that rural housing was often worse than housing in the inner cities, and that became a great bone of contention, if you like. We didn't have clout in Argyll. We didn't, in those days, contest council elections, for example. Everyone on the council was an independent. At a later stage in our conversations, I may be talking about that.